Hi, Stuart Sooty Crolsham, thanks for your time. Just got back from New Guinea, my 7th trip with my daughter Sammy, amazing time. We talked a lot about the diggers in 1942 with the group, especially this guy, Bruce Kingsbury, who at Issa took it upon himself to change the course of history. So the lesson learned for me is that one person or group of people with the right motivation can make a difference. The porters, they're amazing, aren't they? These locals who travel with you, they hold your hand when you're unsteady, pick you up when you fall down, carry your pack when you're tired, and build stretchers and carry to safety when you're injured. Much like their ancestors did in 1942 when the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels brought up food and ammunition to the troops and carried back the sick and wounded. It's amazing, in 1975 PNG was part of Australia, only got its independence then, and it's only 3.6 kilometres from the last bit of Australian soil to the first bit of PNG soil. 15-minute boat ride. I travel further than that every day to work. There's an absolute crisis happening there, a healthcare crisis, and the country's health system is not coping. 1 in 20 women die at childbirth. 1 in 12 kids die before the age of 5. There are 10,000 paediatric, that's child deaths, every year. Amazing. The Kokoda Track Foundation is building a college at Kokoda to treat healthcare workers, community healthcare workers, to put them across the track. And that will be the long-term sustainable solution to this problem. And we truly support that. But in the meantime, the kids and the mothers are dying. So we need to do something about it now. So I've grabbed a team of healthcare professionals, doctors and nurses from around Victoria, Southern Health, Alfred Hospital, Wangaratta Hospital, Waverley Private and the Mansfield area, and we're currently recruiting a doctor. We're going to get over to New Guinea in November and we're going to work with the 4 community healthcare workers who have been trained, travel through the villages, intervene, educate, provide those community healthcare workers with some mentoring and to try and stem the flow. What I need from you is some help. I need to raise $15,000 in 15 weeks and we will do that to fund the trip. You can donate via the details at the bottom of this video straight into No Roads to Health. You can also go to my Facebook page or the No Roads Facebook page and bid on a North Melbourne jumper signed by this year's potentially premiership team with an authentication certificate, and bid on that and all proceeds go to No Roads to Health. Or alternatively, I've talked at a number of forums to corporates such as Australian Superannuation, ITW, to major sporting clubs including the North Melbourne Football Club, and to emergency services around Australia. I will travel, talk about Kokoda, talk about Black Saturday, talk about my lessons learned as a fire manager and an individual, in turn for donations to No Roads to Health. So you can email me for further details. I have bios, testimonials and details, Sooty, S-O-O-T-Y, at noroads.com.au. Many people would ask us, why are you doing this? What difference can this small group of people make? And I want to share you a story. It's called the Starfish Story, and a small boy was walking along a beach at low tide where countless starfish, having been washed up on the beach, were stranded and doomed to perish. A man watched as the boy picked up individual starfish and took them back into the water. "I can see you've been very kind," said the watching man, "but there must be thousands of them. It can't possibly make any difference." Returning from the water's edge, the boy said, "It will for that one." Thanks for your time.